and welcome to my video series, Changing the Way We Look at Stuttering. I'm Barbara Dam. I'm a speech clinician who has been working with people who stutter for several decades. And my purpose here is to help you become a confident clinician who feels that stuttering is the most exciting speech issue to be treating, and that you will love working with your clients who stutter just as much as I do, because they make changes and you can see them just blossom. It's really exciting. So in this video series, we've talked about the goals of therapy. We've talked about the system that produces speech. And we discussed in the third video what people who do to prevent their normal system from flowing, and that creates stuttering. In the fourth video, we discussed the mindset and how the mind has so much to do with the neurophysiological processes that the person will be using when they're speaking. In this video, the last of this series, I want to talk about the therapy environment and the sort of emotional, if you call it, framework for helping our clients and making therapy pleasurable and easy as possible for them. This is something that really is so important. And I think the first thing I want to tell you is that therapy, there is a difference between the goals of therapy, as we know, the outcome of therapy, and the steps that we take to achieve our goals. Steps have to be really, really small. If we give our clients too big of a challenge, they're going to feel threatened and they're not going to feel good because they're not going to be able to do what we're asking them to do. So what we're going to do is just ask them to take small steps. There are different stages of therapy, and of course what we're going to be asking them to do will change from stage to stage. In the first stage of therapy, we want them just to begin to understand that there's a different way of looking at stuttering and themselves as a speaker. And we want them to begin to understand how the system functions. So we give them some very small experiences of the different ways of attending, the different ways of using their voice, the different ways of doing things, and always combining this with the thoughts that are going through their mind, taking into consideration their fears, what they might be imagining. Everything comes together. Then, in the second stage, where they're already doing activities that use all of the components of speaking in the normal way. And we always want to make sure that we're showing our clients to do things that people normally do. This isn't about giving them a technique that is abnormal to the normally fluent speaker. This is about getting their system to function in the natural way. So we give them activities to do, and it is important for them to carry out these activities again and again and again, because we're not going to get them embedded in our procedural memory if we don't do them over and over again. At this point, the client might not be using any of the things that we're doing in conversational speech. But that's quite all right. The next stage of therapy is to gradually start using it in some conversations. Start with the clinician. Start maybe with people who the person feels very comfortable with. Again, we only want to up their getting out of their comfort zone, maybe by about 3 or 4%. We don't want to go in big jumps. Given that, we have to take into consideration each person's desires, and if a client really wants to take bigger jumps and is capable of doing it both emotionally and physiologically, we won't stop them. But it's better to guide clients not to take too big jumps. There are criteria at each stage that we want to look at to make sure that the client is doing this in the way that will really allow the speech to flow. In the third stage, the client is already beginning to use it in some conversation and is really dealing with some of the mind effects that there are, maybe the triggers that are from the outside that are triggering him to produce speech in the old way, or to make new connections, so that triggers from the outside will trigger that person to use the new natural process of speaking. There are many, many factors, and we will be exploring all of these in the online course that I'm going to be giving to clinicians, where we will really get into depth to see all that we can do as clinicians to help our clients get to the fourth stage, which is speaking is just as mundane for them as it is for us. The brain has gotten to use the new way of speaking as a default program. There are not fears that will interfere with using the process, at least in most situations. It doesn't have to be perfect. It could be that every once in a while the person has to make a correction. But at this stage, in stage 4, when a correction in processing has to be made, it's almost as instinctive as when a normally fluent speaker has to make a correction, because we get confused, we get our sounds mixed up or whatever. And so we have to make certain adjustments as we go along. And for our clients, this is also true. They will probably still have some little residual issues that maybe they have to deal with, but they know how to deal with it themselves, and they know how to feel free about speaking. So if you'd like to join me in the online course for looking at stuttering in a different way and becoming a clinician who feels confident and enjoys treating people who stutter, then click on the link below and you will get more information about this course that will be starting on March 4th. It's really an intensive course for clinicians. There'll be 8 sessions. Each session is 3 hours in my Zoom room. It's interactive. You will have a chance to simulate being the clinician. You will have a chance to ask me any questions that you want, and I will be showing you in great detail how to go through all of the stages of therapy that you will be going through with your clients. So, hope to see you on the online course, and I hope you've enjoyed this video series. Thanks for watching.